I had gradual hearing loss. I started noticing it in 9th grade, and it got progressively worse. And along the way, I was playing guitar, writing some songs.
He had a band and used to be very active and very social and outgoing, and I remember him starting to have to pull back on that.
After I was married, it just started to get worse. So I essentially went into a bubble.
We'd all get together for family get-togethers, and he was having a harder and harder time keeping up. You know, he'd come in the house and try to listen to some of the jokes and participate, and he would do his best. But by the end of the day or the evening, he'd be on the couch kind of hanging out by himself and falling asleep, and that would be the end of gym for the night.
He was getting to the point where he thought that people were always yelling at him, so he really became almost like a shell of what he used to be like when I was a child.
Me and my dad used to talk about everything, and in the past 5 years, there's been communication, but especially the last year, it's been really, really hard. I feel like my dad went from being this really like outgoing, bubbly person to this person who he thought people would think he was dumb almost for not being able to hear. And he said that to me many times. You know, people looked down at him, people would talk to him a certain way, and that would just almost degrade who he was. So his self-esteem went from being very high to barely there at all.
About a month before I was evaluated for the implant, I probably hit the lowest point. I just felt like I was in a black place. That's what it was going to be like for the rest of my life. I went to see my family doctor about something unrelated, and he noticed just in that 6 months how profound my hearing loss had become. And he said, "Have you considered a cochlear implant?" And years earlier, when the technology was young, I'd been told, well, you know, you're really not going to be a candidate for it. So he put me through this big battery of tests. And at the end, when he came to give me the results, and he said, "We want to do this year first." I said, "When?" Sometime in the fall, sometime later. And his question back to me was, "How long do you want to keep not hearing?"
My dad's biggest concern about the surgery was that he was going to get it and it wasn't going to work. And I was one of those people that was like, you should like try it. I mean, what's there to lose?
We did the surgery in August of 2009. And the surgery went very well. And after 30 days, I went down to have it activated, expecting to hear something, but I didn't know what. And she turned it on, and I heard my wife talking clearly. I heard somebody in the hall walking, and I could hear their high heels on the floor. I was hearing all this, and it was overwhelming. I actually stopped them and said, "I need a minute. I need to collect myself. This is more than I expected."
He came up to visit me at school later that night, and I'm sick as a dog. I'm hoarse. You can barely hear me. And I said, "Hi, Dad." And he goes, "Hello, Courtney." And I was like, "Are you really able to hear me?" He's like, "Yes, I am really able to hear you." I'm able to have a conversation with my dad for the first time in years.
I was just amazed. You know, it was wonderful that you could talk to him. I mean, it wasn't perfect yet. It wasn't as good as it is now, but you could have a conversation with him, and you could see him light up.
The realization was that this is what I'm hearing now, and I'm just at the beginning. I'm just at the beginning, and it was only going to get better. When I realized at last that I was going to be able to hear music again, not just beats or drums, but I could actually hear melody. I could hear guitar riffs and things that I hadn't heard in years and years and years and years. It was like getting a gift. And then they decided to do the left ear. It was a different experience. When they turned it on, it sounded like wind chimes. And by the time we ended the session, the wind chimes had become voices, and I realized that I was actually hearing. But it improved dramatically, and in fact, it seems to have caught up with the other ear almost completely.
Do you need more vegetables?
Yeah, I could definitely use some.
Okay.
Do you have the seasoning mix over there for him?
It's supposed to go on top.
I just need a little bit of it.
Okay.
What the heck? Little orange.
Now he's back. 100% back.
It's like a cooking channel. Little orange!
I've never seen him in my whole entire life be more energetic, more friendly than he is right now.
If I don't send this tomato flying somewhere, it'd be nothing short of a miracle.
Wow.
It has taken me out of the bubble world that I was in and it's put me back in the middle of everything. What really excites me right now is that I've gone back to music. I don't know where I'll go with all this, but the fact is, it was a closed chapter that's open again, and being able to play some music again, being able to write music again is something that I never, ever envisioned happening again, and yet here it is. Falling, yes, I am falling, and she keeps calling me back again.
It's almost like a rebirth. It's like seeing him again in his 50s as he was when he was 17, 18 years old.
Be back again.
I've seen him in a year, go from a guy, again, that was quiet, reserved, kind of given up on participating to, who goes 3-4 months later and jumps into a political campaign?
3 weeks or so before. It's closer to the election.
Some years back, I got involved with a local political committee here, and at that time, my hearing loss was already severe. And I took basically the role as a treasurer because I felt that, well, I could never run for office. That's not thinkable.
What about some signs?
Yeah, the signs will be later. With the implant, suddenly, the meetings were something I could participate in.
I think Plains 3 was one of the top ones this past election cycle.
So you want to hit those early where you're going to the undecideds closer to the election.
It came to my attention that the person who holds office of state representative in my district was going to run unopposed. And the next day, I got in touch with the executive director of the local GOP and said, I'm going to do it.
If you had asked me a year ago who might be running for this seat, I wouldn't have thought of Jim O'Meara. But now I think he's a wonderful candidate.
I've seen them smaller. I don't like them smaller because what tends to happen is they fall over. They're hard to read. You want something people can see.
He's so intelligent. He has such a great sense of humor. He has a wonderful attitude. He's the person that I always thought he was in there. But now I think he knows.
Hi, how are you? My name is Jimmy O'Meara. I'm running for state representative. Now I'm knocking on the doors of total strangers and talking to them and listening to them and actually enjoying it. I know you probably got a lot going on, but I just have a simple question for you. What's most important to you?
Probably jobs in the area.
It's something that absolutely could not have happened without the implant. Hey, hold on. I got him right in front of me. One of the most important things day to day about having my implants is that it's let me reconnect to people at work. All right, have Ronnie send that up to me sometime in the afternoon. When I lost all my hearing, they stood by me. But I don't feel that they were getting their best effort from me because there were things I couldn't do. Hello, Nancy. How's things out west?
Oh, very well.
We have just 3 quick items on the agenda first. Now, if it's a conference call, hey, Jim, can you hop on the conference call? Sure, I can, no problem. How about on your end, Nancy? Any issues?
No, none so far.
I think there are days that people forget that I'm deaf now. I was given Freedom implants, but I've moved up to Nucleus 5 processors. One of the great benefits of the Nucleus 5 is the remote, because the remote enables me to quickly change the sound settings from program to program. If I'm in a conference call situation, I can quickly make changes. I can increase my volume if I need to, but usually I just need to increase the sensitivity, and it will bring out the voice of the person on the telephone a lot better.
Oh, no problem. I will do that.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
I do a lot of yard work. It's one of my great joys. And I love the fact that when I'm wearing a Nucleus 5, that I don't have to think about, am I perspiring too much? If it's raining a little bit, am I going to damage the processor? It's water resistant. I just keep doing what I'm doing. What I find exciting about Cochlear's technology is it's backward compatible, which means that their technology is going to follow me all through my life. As long as I'm walking around, they're going to roll out technology that's going to be compatible with my implants, and you can't put a price tag on that. There we go. Those 2 friendly little beeps, and I know I hear. When a company takes that kind of step to say, we're going to make sure that 25 years from now that we're taking care of you, that's a company I want to take care of me. Not just for today's technology or next week's technology, but for the rest of our lives. I'm waiting to try the coast. Being able to communicate with my family easily, it's an absolute miracle. Where's your mother? So Christmas.
He hears everything. It's really brought our whole entire family together.
I've taken a situation that looked hopeless, and suddenly, with a little surgery, a little mapping, and a flip of the switch, I'm re-engaged with people. When I think of my future now, I don't have uncertainty when it comes to whether I'm going to hear again. I don't worry anymore about whether I'm going to have to go back into a bubble. My implants are going to be with me, and the technology is going to be with me, and that means that for the rest of my life, I'm going to hear.